Welcome to Frax Check, your weekly Frax vibe check. I am your host, Capital K, and I'm joined by our producer extraordinaire, Sam.
What's up?
And we'll be going straight to the source of truth via checking the chain. But before we jump in, please subscribe to the Flywheel Crypto YouTube channel. We're on our march to 10,000, and we need you to hit that button. And second, please follow us at Flywheel Crypto on Twitter and Telegram. Now, this week, Samuel, I call this week the Just Keep Swimming week because the price action has been cray-cray, but on this show, we don't talk about that, and I'm here to keep us grounded. So let's just keep on swimming and dive into our regular programming. As always, we start with the peg. We see here the peg held strong at low of 0.998 all the way up to 1.002. Peg check, strong. Curve swap. We went over to the market and swapped $100 million worth of Frax for USDC, and we received an exchange rate of 0.9983. This is actually 4 bips better than last week. So if you had waited a week and traded this week, you pretty much got the trade for free with no fees. Nice. So both metrics are pretty much unchanged or slight improvements. Moving on to our collateralization percent. And just a reminder, this is the percent that conveys how much algorithmic, aka the FXS part, is used as collateral. We see here that we've been unchanged at 92% for the last 3 to 4 Frax check now. And following that, we have our decentralized percent, which conveys the assets that are collateral that are decentralized. And we see here we have a massive uptick like 3 or 4 Frax checks ago, but we've been kind of hovering around this 22.5% and 23%. So we've been sitting pretty tightly banned for the last 2 weeks. But across the board, both of these metrics are trending in the right direction, though we want them to be in the collateralized percent, low 80s, the decent percent, mid to high 30s is where we want to see that. So quick summary here. We have the peg check, very strong. We have the curve swap, really tight. Collat percent unchanged, decent percent up small. Now, next, we have our Frax ETH segment. And as a reminder, Frax ETH is a stablecoin pegged to ETH, not the dollar. And Frax does stablecoins the best. So we always start by checking the peg. We see here that the dashboard set is 0.9989, though this is a slight deviation from last week, which was like 0.997, I believe. But regardless, we have to go into the market and check to see how it fares in the market. So we went to Curve, and the reason why we chose 3,500 Frax ETH is because that is roughly the size of the largest Frax ETH holder. So I'm simulating here, what if the whale decided to just pull all of the Frax ETH out of the LP, or his portion at least, and you see the exchange rate is 0.9979, which again is quite healthy relative to the size of the holder. And one quick thing I want to point out to here, Sam, is that we finally broke the 100 million TVL mark in the Frax ETH pool.
Like 1 week.
Yes, the price rallied and et cetera, but like still there is 33,000, like 63,000 ETH in total in this damn pool, which is quite awesome. Right?
Yeah,
and to think, dude, the largest LP in this, as you can see here, is like 5 million, right? So it's like really, really healthy, 5.5 million. Like relative to whales, yeah.
I think we're gonna have to switch it up though, because I'm checking Dune right now, and we'll do this for next week. But the largest SFrax ETH holder, so not just the LP, but the SFrax ETH holder has about 6,000. What is it? 6,961.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We could say that. I mean, is that a smart contract or is that an actual person?
Well, that's the address that's deposited inside of Stake Fraxy. So, like, if you want to go for the biggest holder, 3,500 would be number 2, but then 6,900 would be number 1. So we can change that.
The SFrax ETH.
Yeah,
Frax ETH. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. You're right. That's fair. Yeah, the
Yeah.
person could unstake and theoretically come in and just smash the pool. That's fair.
But
Yeah, yeah.
why would they?
We'll do that.
Why would they? I
Yeah,
think
I
it's.
mean, I mean.
I bet it's someone. If
Oh,
somebody won.
we also filter out the Frax teams ETH though,
Yeah.
for me to get to the 3,500. So there might be some
Oh,
overlaps
I'm
there,
sorry.
but
No. I'm really dumb. Actually, I just checked it, and that one that I was just talking about is the stake Frax ETH in Fraxland. Okay, sorry. You guys are on point. Sorry, I was just looking at the Dune dashboard for a second.
all good, all good, all good. Back to the regular programming. Let's celebrate our 100 mil 9 figures TVL. Yay.
Yeah.
All right. The APY as per Convex, even with this massive amount of TVL, is 6.5% projected versus the 6.7% for SFrax ETH stakers. Dude, this market is so damn efficient. It's like everyone just knows exactly where to go for the yield. It's good and bad. Obviously, it's good because the market is efficient, but it's bad because, well, we don't get to capture any inefficiencies. But regardless, this has been great, and I love to see it. Right now, there's 51.2% of the supply in the curve pool, and obviously the balance is elsewhere. And then let's look at the count. This week was a big week, and we keep on swimming, up 24%, up to 62,954 Frax ETH. Just look at that chart, man. Look at that chart. It was just straight vertical.
Oh, I got some news
And
for you. So, when did you take these screenshots?
this on the 16th, as you can see here. Well, it updated on the 16th. It was the last time I had it.
Oh, right. Okay, because we've added 1,000 ETH in under 24 hours. we're at 63,840 ETH right now. Like,
Dude,
that is incredible.
That's what I'm saying. Like this. So I normally don't like to pat myself on the back, but last week I did say that this LSD narrative floating around is going to be a catalyst for more deposits, and lo and behold, we're up another casual 13K ETH, right? Including the one that Sam just mentioned here.
Oh yeah,
13K ETH in 7 days.
You know what I'm ready for? I'm ready for the next slide, because the next slide is the good one.
Yes.
Next week is going to be flippening week for like.
Yes. Let's tease the people a little bit more. So on the stake percent, 43.5% are currently staked in the SFrax ETH. That means there is a 5 to 6% of Frax ETH floating somewhere that is not earning yield, which is I don't know where, but they're floating somewhere. Moving on, we have the new slide here.
You know what? Before we go on the next slide, because I know like the next slide is the one that we're going to talk a lot about. But
yeah,
you know what this feels like, especially for the next slide, right? Is that
yeah.
Frax is like a basketball team that was kind of in like outside the playoff race, right? Right. And now we've just gone on a winning streak where we're just like winning like 90% of all of our games, right? And we're just like flying up the standings, flying up. And like, if we're like, we would have to be out west, right? And maybe we're like a little scrappy team like the Jazz or something, or I don't know. But we're going on a run. We just had like a 10-game winning streak, and we're about to go on another 15-game winning streak. And in like 2 months, 3 months, we're going to be number 2, and we're going to be right there for the playoffs.
Ooh. spicy 2 to 3 months, bro. You're talking that's barely Q1 of this year.
Well, look,
Ooh,
I mean,
that's hot. That's hot. Okay, enough
let's go
teasing.
On to the next one. Yeah, let's go on to the next slide. We can take a look. We can do some math.
Yeah, let's go to the next slide. So this is the new slide, new layout. This is the landscape and the market share of Frax ETH relative to, well, everybody else. Exactly. Go ahead, Sam. I'll let you take this slide.
Oh, yeah. So look, we've been in the bottom of the pack, right? Because there's a couple of other LSD smaller ones that don't even really matter. But we've crossed the 50,000 mark. And next week, when we stake everything, we're going to be above Anchor. We're going to flip Anchor, which is like, getting into the playoffs. We're like outside the playoff bubble, and now we're going to be in the playoffs. We're like in the conversation. And it's probably only going to take, another 2 to 3, maybe a week. Next week, we could be sitting above 70,000 for staked ETH, right?
Yeah, and then we pass stake-wise. Yep.
Yeah, and then there's just 2 that remain, right? So
literally 2, and like it's just the imbalance in this market right now is wild to me, right? Like the top one is the top 2, the second is Rocket Pool at 2%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are going to cross that sooner than later, and I'm very, very excited for this. And I think the numbers here, I guess for this specific pool, when I pulled it, it wasn't really updating either. Or it could be that the ETH is still deposited, but in queue to be launched.
There's like a week lag. There's like a couple of day lag time to get in the queue and then like get the validators added. So like,
so we'll see these numbers change.
So it's like 52. We're at like 52,032 as of recording this, which again, that's a 43% increase on the 30-day timeline.
I think this is the number. Yeah, dude, that's incredible, right? Like it's just
And look at us, right? So we've added 488 nodes in that 30-day time period for being like, we're almost adding as many nodes as Lido. That's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
So as we go higher, the yields will be better and just more money is going to flow in. And then Shanghai is going to come in a couple of months, and then things really are game on.
Yeah, because like once things could be withdrawn, like I don't see why would you want to hold Steph when you could hold Frax ETH and actually earn yield in the base pool? Like it's
right. Like and we can talk about this. We can talk about this now, but I asked Sam about like, hey, when is the Curve base pool coming? And he essentially said, yeah, we're working on it right now. We don't really need Curve to deploy it. We can just make it, right? And it really has to do with like how Shanghai is going to work. My sense is that the team's figuring out right now whether it's just going to be Frax ETH alone or like a Frax ETH combination. But either one, right? It's going to work the same way as Frax base pool does, where anybody that comes to Curve and pairs the token against it is going to get gauge votes, and they're going to get incentives sent to them on a weekly basis for whomever provides liquidity in there. And it's a genius idea, right? Because like the more people that come in and provide liquidity, the more Frax ETH comes away from the stake Frax ETH contract, which means that the yields go higher, and the more Frax ETH there is, the more yield is going to Frax shares holders, and it's just the big ass fucking
flywheel. Say it. Take a shot. Yes. Exactly correct.
And you know what's good to see is that like I don't think Sam's adversarial about this. He understands that there's going to be multiple liquid staking derivative options, but his goal is not to be, like all we have to be is the liquidity base. We just have to be the pair for all of them. That's the goal, right? Like
correct.
A Frax ETH Steth pool should be the number one ETH pool on Curve. A Frax ETH Rocket pool should be the number one on Curve, right? And it'll just be a self-reinforcing thing, because like maybe some people like the certain aspects of Rocket Pool or Lido or whatever, but they don't have the flywheel.
Yeah. But also, no matter what, I think you nailed it. There is Frax owning that liquidity layer that no matter which staking provider you choose to get in and out, you have to go through Frax ETH.
Right.
I think that is where we want to position ourselves, and I think we're on our track towards there. But okay, enough about this Frax ETH. Let's do a quick summary to see how we're doing. Peg check strong, curve swap strong, count up only, and stake percent quite healthy, very, very healthy. And now let's jump into our AMO holdings. We have a grand total of 1,030,900,000 for this week. And this was a slight move up of 2% from last week.
Slight move. That's huge for like the past. 3 months.
That's
4
fair.
months.
That's fair.
That's the biggest move. That's the biggest move we've had since May.
No. We had like a couple weeks ago. We had that massive 50% move. Yeah. So now we've been kind of ranging above the Billy mark, which I like. Right. I'm fine growing slowly. But here we got a nice bump of 10 million from the investor AMO. And then we have a nice bump of 12 million from the liquidity AMO, with the curve and lending AMO remaining flat. Same thing from last week. So overall, some small bumps across the board. I mean, our largest holding is CVX, right? Quite frankly. So with CVX kind of pumping as it is, I expected the investor AMO to be up like that. So everything's going good. And now let's move on to the profitability of the convex AMO. For the month of January, so far, we have $720K in revenue and $1.17 million in expenses, giving us a net loss of $450K to start our 2023 first month. And as you can see here, like CRV rewards are like the largest portion of our revenue, when with Convex and FXS making like, a fraction of it. And I don't know, when I see this, I'm like, our revenue is really concentrated. Obviously, over time, we're going to have Frax ETH and Frax Lend, and I'm going to start reporting on those revenue numbers for us soon. But it's just, it's very telling that where this is going to keep on trending down lower and lower. You know what I mean, Sam?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I think, again, like my thoughts are that Curve had a great week this week. It's up like 30%, which is obviously going to help with the profitability, right? Like when CRV was trading at like 60 cents, because it traded below 60 cents from pretty much all of December, and then it's 60 to 70 for all of November as well too. Like when your biggest asset that you're pulling in and paying bribes for is like in the gutter, like of course it's not going to be profitable. But now like CRV is above $1, the narrative is coming back, the flywheel's kicking in, like people are flocking back, and I think the vibes are turning around. So I think we could see profitability start to become quite large again. And when you talk about like Frax ETH, we're going to be starting to get a lot of Frax ETH revenue. Really, I'm not really worried about Frax ETH revenue until after Shanghai. Once we cross the million Frax ETH number in that like post Shanghai world, where we have like 1 million ETH. That's so much. Well, we get 4,000 ETH a year from that. Every million ETH is 4,000 ETH straight into the treasury.
Yeah. True.
That's like $5 million a year for every $1 million of ETH. And you think like we get to where, okay. So like there's, how much ETH is there right now? Like 120 million?
Oh yeah.
It's about 120 million ETH. You think like 60% of that, 60% of that is going to go into staking, like other networks. That's like 70 to 80 million ETH that needs to be staked. So like theoretically by the end of the year, like if we're number 2, we could have like 10 to 20 million ETH staked in Frax ETH. And that would mean that'd be 40, just with 10 million, that's 40,000 ETH a year. That's printing. Just back to Frax shares holders. So like that alone is enough to really like tell me that things are okay now, but we have new parts of the flywheel which are coming. And to think about like 40,000 ETH, even at these prices, right? Even if we're at like 1,600 a year from now, that's $64 million a year, right? And just up until recently, this is like some back in the math thing, but like just up until recently, Frax shares was it's like $9 right now, which gives it a 900 million. But that's okay, right? You think 60 million a year in profit on a 5-year time scale, or like I don't know how you're going to do your price to earnings though. But that seems really reasonable. I mean, where we're priced at right now, it seems really reasonable for having $60 million a year. And that only goes up. That only goes up if ETH keeps on climbing as well too. Like ETH goes to 10,000, that's a 5x increase.
I mean, let's not even do that math. But I think the challenge
it's just like back of the napkin.
Yeah.
Like, but you think like our profitability, right? In 2 years could be something like $500 million a year.
Yeah.
So
I definitely see the upside, and
yes.
I definitely want to taper some excitement here by Frax to get the Frax ETH to kind of that state and to basically be ubiquitous. If we manage $20 million Frax ETH, 20 million ETH in the Frax ETH kind of contract, that is effectively Frax ETH being ubiquitous. And I think the closest comp we have to that right now is like the Frax base pool and how well the team is executing on that and getting the market to adopt that, right? And really, really buy into it. And quite frankly, I think we're doing okay. I would probably give us like a B. You know, we're not in people's faces enough. We literally have the yield and the liquidity, and people are just kind of sleeping on it, or we're just not loud enough. So one way or another, I think we need to take it one day at a time, and the challenge is still ahead in terms of market adoption. In my mind, the tech is there, the tech is built. The tech could have 1 ETH or 100 million ETH, but it needs people like us and also the community to drive it forward. And speaking of going forward, I want to move to our summary slide on the money check here. We have the AMO at about $1.03 billion, up 2% over the past week. And for the month of January, we're down 450K. But as Sam says, we are optimistic. And if CRV kind of keeps up pumping like this, we will be able to hopefully break even this month. And that will be a really nice change since no profit November. All right, here is my favorite section of the Frax check, the liquidity check. And the theme of this week was just keep swimming. Well, in this specific segment, we are swimming up, baby, because we are at 86%. We went from 82 earlier last week down up to 86 this week. And as you can see, there was a pivotal point 3 Frax checks ago where we started climbing really nicely up. And if I were to do some TA on this, I would say maybe another 3 Frax check until we touch 100%. This is maybe I'm just dosing myself with super hopium, double dosage of hopium right now. But I think this is the number. I'm just using this as like a comp and a proxy for Frax ETH and how well we're going to be the base pool of it all, right? And just to have a comparison side by side, the Frax base pool is at 490 million, call it that. And the 3, which is pretty much unchanged from last week, mind you. What is notable is that the 3 pool fell by 30 mil. That's how we managed to climb up that extra 4%. So people are actually leaving the 3 pool, which is usually we see people leave like together as a set, like Frax BP, 3 pool, and Frax 3 CRV would all come out at the same time. But this time only the 3 pool went out. So it was kind of interesting. And also, as always, go ahead.
Yeah. So also, what's good to see as well too is the ratio of USDC to Frax inside the Curve base pool is also increasing. It's up 3 percentage points from 33%, 32% to 36%, like 36% and a half.
Yeah.
Which is good. That means money is flowing in and not out, right? And at some point when we get to near the 50% mark, that's when the Frax base pool can really start expanding again, right?
Crank it, baby.
First, we need to balance it, and then it'll keep going. So, like, if we keep going, 3 to 4 percentage points a week, eventually we're going to get to a point where we're back in balance, or at least to the point where like the AMOs can start kicking in and putting more money into the base pool.
Yeah, that's like another month and a half, and then we start increasing that Frax supply number, which is what we want.
Yeah.
But okay, so we're doing great here. I love what we see. And one quick note, we are still above the Frax 3 CRV. So I'm very happy that people are opting into our new and improved product over the old one. So claps there, but stepping stones, 3 pool is next. Moving on, we have our meta pools. And a quick reminder, the meta pools are paired, are pools that are paired against the base pool. And an example of a stable pair is like LUSD and Frax BP. We are at 49.3 million this week, which is an increase of about 8% from last week. But we just can't seem to break above that $50 million line. Like, it's being so stubborn right now, and it just simply does not want to break above that 50 mil line. And as you can see here, this is a lot of Frax checks where I've been singing this song, but we did dip as low as 38 at one point, so I'm happy we're up here. But still, let's get back to this 9 figures that we touched once in the week here. This is, I feel, peak product market fit. But regardless, here we are. Come on, people. We got some yields. We got some liquidity for your community. So come and get some. Okay. And any project out there looking to pair with the meta pool, join the Flywheel Telegram chat and DM any of the hosts for assistance. And also a quick public service announcement. Their Frax base pool could also be paired with non-stable assets. And some examples of this is like CVX, FXS, Badger, Reserve. And this week we saw a pretty nice bounce of 28% in the non-stables TVL, right? That's the biggest bounce I've seen. This is the first time we touched the 15 mil number. We've been around like 11, 12, 11, 12, but this week has been the biggest bump for the non-stable pair. So I like to think that some of y'all at home are joining us on this sweet yield and liquidity, or it could just be the market pumping these TVLs up. But I choose to believe that we're making an impact. So let's go with the former. And we're going to be adding the stables TVL and the non-stables TVLs together to give us a 64.3 million of liquidity paired against the Frax base pool, up 12% for the week. Very hot, very sexy. And summary time, we have the Frax base pool at 490 mil, and that is 86% of the 3 pool. The meta pool is at the stable pairs 49.3, non-stables 15, and total TVL for all meta pools is 64.3 million. And lastly, the main reason why we track all of this is to make sure that the Frax supply could grow as big as possible. And this week, like last week and the week before that, we are at the same number, 1.018 billion. And we've pretty much been here this whole time. As Sam said earlier in the call, once the base pool kind of balances a bit better until we get to that 50 or around there, then the team can start minting more Frax and really expanding this supply. And we need to keep our eyes on the price. I know our FXS price doubled practically from when we kind of talked about this stuff, but this is the number. This is the number we need to grow. So, Sam, any final thoughts here before we move on to the governance roundup?
Just very excited to see everything. It felt really good to see all the influencers who like left us 8 months ago, like come back in droves, right?
Oh yeah, dude. I've seen my DMs. My DMs are getting lit up by people asking. So I was just like, bruh, where have you been?
I feel a little vindicated. Like, we started this right after the whole Luna collapse. And it's been like 8 months since then. And now like we're back in the limelight and the vibes are like insanely high.
Yeah. So we're good. Finally getting up. I feel the same. I feel the same way. And things are just gonna keep on ticking up higher, man. I'm pumped about Frax Eve. But let's move on to our governance roundup, Sam. Did Dave send you the
Yeah, no,
the
I've
topics?
got everything right here. Yeah, we're good.
Alrighty. Let me stop sharing. 1 second. Hand it over to you.
Okay. So let's talk about what's in the snapshot right now. So there is a FPI 160 to 165. These is 6 different proposals, and they are to authorize Fraxland AMO for Ape, Link, Lido, Uni, Avi, and Maker. We talked about this on the last Frax Check, but now it's in the proposal section. So it looks like it'll hit quorum. There's 3 days left, and they're all sitting at 43%. So looks like,
nice.
Yeah, everybody's already voted for them. And that will authorize $5 million to go to each. The interesting ones that is up this week is FIP 159, which is the revoting guidelines. And this one has this one will close tomorrow, actually, on January 18th. And it proposes a new meta governance, proposes new rulemaking for how we handle the snapshots. And it will allow a revote for Moonriver because there's about $13 million worth of Frax that's just sitting there. So when this passes, we'll be able to have the Moonriver vote again. And then after that, we can hopefully get the ferry going, which is what everybody wants.
Bring the Moon River Frax home.
Yeah. And then the other proposal that is in the discussion forums right now is FIP. It doesn't have a name yet. It's probably going to be 166, but it's add L2D4 gauge. And this was written by the Saddle team, I think. His name was Overqualified. Overqualified. Okay, okay. So it's like over and then koala and then fine. It's very smart.
Okay.
So the idea is to deploy a FXS gauge for Saddle L2D2 or L2D4 pool on Arbitrum, and it consists of Frax, USDS, USX, and ALUSD, which is Alchemix, Sparax, DForce, L2 DAO, and Saddle all together in one place. Cool. And the idea is to deploy this on Arbitrum so that there can be a alternative pool from just USDC, USDT, and DAI for the Arbitrum ecosystem. And what's cool about it is that if the Frax Shares gauge passes and all the other incentive packages pass with the other protocols, by depositing into one pool, you'll get 6 governance tokens at the same time.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, doesn't the Frax base pool exist on RB or no?
This is just for the gauge. This is a gauge vote.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just generally curious. Is there a Frax BP on RB or no?
I don't think so.
Do you know on top of your head? Okay.
I mean, there should be.
We'll check and get back to you guys.
No, yeah. there should. Like, once you vote for the meta pool one place, it should deploy everywhere else. My only thing would be, and we can do cross-chain. Actually, that's another thing we have to tell everybody is that you can get cross-chain incentives with Frax base pool. So if you spin up a Frax base pool on Curve on Arbitrum and pair it to Frax base pool, we'll use our voting, because it's all voting power, right? Frax would use its voting power to then vote for cross-chain pools.
Right, because it's just another pool.
Yes.
The cross-chain element is not really at play. It's just another pool.
Yeah, 100%.
Very cool.
So yeah. So
what else is that? It?
That's it for this week. There was some other threads, but nothing really that interesting.
Cool.
There was a
discussion. Quick question about the Frax Land one.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it says issued 5 mil per those pairs, like 8 maker, etc., etc. Like, does that 5 mil come from the Frax treasury? Like, do they just mint 5 mil against any loans that's borrowed against, or is it 5 mil for the people to deposit?
No, it's AMO funds. So it's fresh Frax. Okay. It's minted by the protocol and then deposited into the deposited into Fraxland.
Gotcha. So the AMO is going to expand by like another. How many pairs was in that proposal?
6. So 30 million.
6, so another 30 mil to be expanded, because the Fraxland AMO is right now 50 mil, so it's going to be 80 mil. Nice, very healthy.
Yeah, I don't think everything's deployed. You know, they deploy a little bit slowly, so they like wait for the pools to fill up a bit, and then they wait a little bit more. When looking at my questions that I have is mainly on. Let me take a Fraxland right now. There's a couple of pools which have a lot of TVL in them. So the Curve pool currently has, so that's 7.4 available. So actually everything's pretty efficient right now. The only pools that are like heavily taken on Fraxland at the moment are like the Stake Frax ETH and FPI, but the old FPI, but everything else is pretty good. So, we're really chugging along, and it's looking really nicely for Frax right now.
Yep. I definitely do like that. Well, I think that is it for this week's Frax Check. And thank you so much, guys, for joining us for another series of this Frax Check, and we're going to be doing a revamp and renovation of the Frax Check, released soon, TM. And as always, please smash that subscribe button, because we are on that march to 10,000 and we need you to help us get there. And also join the conversation in the @Flywheel Crypto Telegram, and follow us at Flywheel Crypto Twitter. And you can follow me at 0xcapital_K.
And I'm at traders_insight.
And we'll